Okay, so to continue, we are talking about the HR management tools. And the first management tools that I want to talk about is the HR information system. That is, as the word or the name called says, it is the information system. So it encompasses everything, every basic information of your company, and the functionalities needed for the end-to-end human resource management of your company. Okay, so the system has to do with time attendance, payroll, benefits, recruitment, performance, management, learning and development. So it's the system where once you log into, you are able to go through all that, um, like I mentioned, the time and attendance, payroll, benefits, recruitment, and etc. of the company. Okay, so once somebody logs into that system, they have access to all those information that already exists. And the next tool is the tools about recruitment. Okay, like I said earlier, the HR is all about recruiting and staffing your organization. And so you need to define or have a tool that helps you to do that easily. Okay. And when it comes to the tools that have to do with the recruitment, there are lots of them on the market, if I should say so. There are lots of them that are available that you can have access to and allow you to have or to have an easy way to recruit people into your company. And that has to do with the sourcing tools. Okay, that is when you have a lot of applicants on board that have applied, how do you now select among them to move to the interview level and then now to the actual recruitment or accepting them? And now how do you also optimize the job adverts? Now a lot of companies use LinkedIn, their website, and maybe a popular blog or news. Okay. And so they employ all those strategies or those means to make sure that all the advice has reached to a lot of people, and they are sure that they can have a quality applicant or number of applicants that will apply for a particular position. Okay, and then also pre-employment assessment tools, and then the onboarding tools. Here, the onboarding tools, for example, for Earth Guardians is the onboarding calls that we make once you have signed up. So if for example, you have applied or you are signed up to join Earth Guardians in the month of March, before the month ends, the global career director is able to reach out to you via email to inform you that we have received your application and fix a date, a link to join a Zoom meeting where she talks about and introduces you to Earth Guardians as an organization. So those are the tools. So when you talk about the tools, it's every technology or every system that allows you to manage your human resource effectively. Okay. And the next thing you also want to look at is the communication. Communication within an organization is very key. And so you do not want to play with that. You do not want to play with the communication of your organization. Make sure that everybody has the right information at the right time. Some will use maybe the easy ways we have, or maybe, for example, for a crew, you just want to have a WhatsApp group that allows you to have everybody in the same group chat, and you can have your conversation at a particular time that you have agreed on. Okay, we also have other platforms aside WhatsApp that you can chat on. We also have the Slack. I know Ed Guardian used to have a Slack account where we have a group of working teams there. And so together with the board of directors, the working teams members are also there. And you are able to communicate if there are activities. Everybody brings their inputs, their thoughts, their assessments and evaluation. And if there are upcoming events, if there are new working teams that need to be formed, all that is done in the Slack group. And if there are information, any schedule is, it allows you to schedule for something, and then you put that in the group and all that. And so you also have a weekly digest. The weekly digest is almost like a newsletter, for example, or maybe a weekly email that you send to your workers to let them know, or to give them an update of what has transpired throughout the week, what you have done throughout the week. Okay, it can be monthly, like what a guardian does. We have newsletter where we are informed about the upcoming events and things that have been done by our crews and all that. Okay, we also have our social media platforms. We also have the snapcoms that is also in a form, another tool that you can use for your communication, where there are, when maybe you feel like people do not read their emails, okay, and they are not informed on time, maybe they have to prepare towards a meeting, but because they do not read their emails and all that to prepare, you feel that you need an alternative. So, and Snapcom is one of those things that would help you to have everybody to get access to their message and make sure that they all read the message you have put across. Okay, we also have what we call the Google form, that is to conduct quick surveys, and it's very user friendly. It's mostly, you will use it mostly in Guardians. And if you also want to, you do not want to complicate the task for yourself, you want to also get yourself acquainted with Google form, one way or the other, I think with this technological world, we have all come across a Google form that we have filled to provide an information for a company, or to apply for a grant or something. Okay, so the Google Forms are also there to help you with your communication. And then also for the productivity, we also have Asana. Asana also can be used. And like I said, I will not bore you so much with the details of the apps or the software or the tools. So what you can do is that after this, you can log on to your Chrome or your Google search, and or Play Store or App Store, to download some of these apps. Try your hands on them and see how they can help you, and which one is more um applicable to your company or your group or your crew and all that. Okay, so as with Asana, you can use Asana simply to list your business and private the to-dos, um but also for your agile project planning. Okay, so it's like to do app. Okay, or you plan ahead, things that you set reminders, and things that will help you to remember the tasks you have. Then the event note, the Evernote, sorry, the Evernote, you can also store all kinds of information that you feel that they are very useful. Okay, so productivity has to do with anything that helps you to have maximum work done within the time that is required and all that, and ensure that you are performing well at your duty. Okay, then we also have the education aspect, the tools that help you educate your members. Like we said earlier, um, education is also very key. Training for the members, the members or your employees are very key. Okay, so now how do they get those informations that you want them to get? How do they upgrade their knowledge, the new skills? So some of these can be podcasts. Okay, you have podcasts, maybe, so you can, if your company doesn't have a podcast on its own, you can recommend, or you can look through the podcasts that we have. Now you can go to any app there, you just have to write the theme or the topic you want, and you have several podcasts that are suggested to you. So if maybe an HR department feels that they want all employees to subscribe to a particular podcast, then it has to be communicated to them. Then from episode to episode, they are recommended to go and listen to it and then learn from it, because the things they share on the podcast aligns with your value, your company goals, and all that. Also, books. Okay, you can also ask your employees that at the end of maybe every term or every month, I think months will be too cumbersome, but I don't know, but maybe at the end of every month or every term or every year, these books needs to be read. Okay, not entirely maybe the book, but just aspects of the book that relates or that can inform your employees on what they need to learn at that particular time. Okay, they can also do that. And also we have the blogs. Okay, now blogs are all over. Once you go through on the web and you input like the book, you like the podcast, you input a word or a topic you want to learn more about. There are a lot of things, people who have written a lot of things about similar topic or the same topic, and so you are able to read different articles, case studies, and all those things online. Okay, or you can encourage them to take a course. Maybe your company can have an agreement with an institution, an educational institution that comes time to time to organize workshops and all that. Or you can also give maybe 1 month or 3 months steady paid leave for your employees to go and study something on a particular subject, on a new skill or anything new, and they come back and they put that into action in your company. Okay, so continuous education all means you have to do an actual course every now and then to first of all upgrade yourself, and then also to add to the company you are working in. So that would be what I would want to share with you on the tools. Now let's look at the characteristics of the HR management. Now, if you have put in place the right tools for your company or your group or your crew, you also need to have factors, or okay, there are factors that will keep you in check to know that yes, this is with all this, if you see this indicator, you see this factor is an indicator that the tools that you have put in place, how your HR management is functioning, is is the right one. And if there are needs to improve it, you need to improve it. So if you have all the right tools in place, and you have all the components in position, and the HR department, okay, has everything they need to perform well, then these are the characteristics to know that your HR system is well functioning. Okay. And also, not just that, but if you are now setting the rules and regulations, maybe planning for job recruitment, staffing, and all the things we have explained above, you would want to look at this, okay, to define those ones. So the first thing is the people oriented. So like I said, if you are a company that delivers on justice or legal safety of people externally, you have to make sure that the people working within the company also are satisfied, okay, on the same level. They are treated like any client you receive. It's not like you have maybe a legal firm that supports women that are disadvantaged in their country, or not their country, maybe in their area or somewhere they are being treated unfairly. You have a system that defends their rights, and there is somebody in your company going through the same thing, but you are not able to help them. So human resources, like the name will call it, are people oriented. Okay, therefore people have to be the focus of HR management. Okay, you cannot do anything for people and not have the people in mind. So while managing their affairs at work in a given excellent HR management considered considers everything that surrounds us as people. Okay, so an HR manager needs to understand that people do not have the same temperament, people do not have the same orientation. And so you have to focus on the person to be able to create a conducive environment for the person. Of course, not to massage the shoulders of the people, but you have to make sure that when you have their interests at hand, it becomes easy for you, to relate them to them and to bring them to understanding your organizational goals um and vision. Okay, it has to be employee oriented as well. This is vital characteristic of HR management, and it means that making the life of employees at work very easy. Okay, it includes not just managing them, but also remaining accessible for all queries and support. And so a key function of and feature of HR management should be its ability to create an atmosphere where employees feel like coming in and giving in their all. I like this because if you are managing people, then you have to have an open ear for them. Like I said, you do not say your core values are family. You respect family values, and then you do not give your employees enough, or you do not have give them a flexible schedule to spend quality time with their families. Okay, the job they work for you should not take them away from their family. They should be able to spend quality time with their family, because you say you value um family. Okay, and so all those things need to come into play. Now you also have to be accessible, so that if they have any grievance, they have anything, there are people who go through maybe a department, somebody is being bullied. Okay, you should be able to be accessible as a department and as a manager in the HR department, so that that person who is not being treated fairly in his or her department can reach out to you and trust that you are going to take what their grievances are seriously, and they will communicate and they will sort that issue out. Now, if you are also for example, a company that deals with gender equality, then you should create an environment where every gender feels included. Okay, there has to be that inclusive um system where everybody, no one feels that they are being left behind or they are being discriminated against. Okay, so you have to make sure that all that is into place. Now it also has to give opportunities. So the characteristics of HR management could have a rather large scope. Okay, however, the focus featured should be to let the employees know that there is room for career growth. Okay, so like I said, no one wants to spend 10, 15 minutes, 15 years of their life in your company, feel that they are pursuing something. Okay, they are gaining something that is valuable to them as a person and as an employee in your company. So you have to make room. You have to give them that opportunity, okay, to take courses, to listen to podcasts. Maybe you can say this day before, from the between the hours to this hour, there will be a resource person to come and talk to them about this. And if you feel that any department needs any support at all, make sure that you have the experts to support them in that. And so all those things has to be put in place. Okay, HR management helps the employees set realistic and time-bound goals for their growth in the organization. Okay, and also decision oriented. Data gathering is relatively easy in today's world. However, what gets done with the data is essential. Therefore, is a crucial feature of HR is to crunch data and provide a wealth of accurate, helpful information, having the fact that um, having the facts greatly facilitates making decisions. So like I said, you should have a system where you have all information, like the information system, everything about every employee is kept. Okay, so when you need to make a decision about that particular employee, you know where to go to have the right information. That is why you need a system to, if you want to query somebody on their lateness to work, then it means that you need to have a system that is fair and that it can give you an accountable report on that person on their lateness to work. It means that there has to be a system that deals with attendance and the presence in the workplace, the time they arrive, the time they go, and all that in the workplace. So based on that information and that system you have, now you can make a decision and go ahead and know how to sanction this fellow or how to query them. Okay, so it has to be decision oriented, and having that in mind allows you to prepare and to have a system that keeps those facts and information for you so that you can easily make the decision you need to make. Okay, and it has to be development oriented. Okay, it is vital to prone characteristic of HR management. One aspect of it is that it features, or one aspect of this HR feature is to ensure the development of the employees, plan training schedules well in advance to meet the current and future growth requirements to ensure that the employees are meeting business demands. An employee who is given knowledge naturally has more confidence in executing their jobs better. I think I have explained this earlier in the giving opportunity aspect. Okay, so the other part of this feature is to develop the HR management strategies. Okay, so what you are also improving the people, okay, or you are enhancing their growth in your company, you also need to develop the strategies in your own company, and then you also to develop the HR management system. Okay, the HR management itself, okay, in a company. And these have to keep up with the pace of the business. So when you first of all start with 20, when your company has grown to be 100, okay, employees, it is not expected of you that the same system that have worked with the 20 employees will work with the 100 employees. And so you have to develop to meet the needs of those 100 employees now, considering all the things that we have discussed based on the HR management, okay? Components, roles, and all that. You have to look at all those things to make a decision. And it has to be individual focused. Yes, you are working as a team, but in a team, there are individuals, and every individual is particular and they are special and they are complex. And so you have to focus on them. You cannot say that this works for this employee. And so it has to work for all of them. You have to make sure that you get to know your employees. And so it's the work of the HR department, and that is why accessibility is very key. Because when you are accessible, you are able to have a relationship with the people who come to you and tell you about their grievances, the situation they go through, or every other event that happens to them outside your company. Okay, every circumstance, every situation they find themselves in outside your company. And so if you are going to be successful in managing your human resources, it means that you have to focus on each individual. And that is why the system you put in place to manage them is very crucial. Because how you, like I said, how you manage 20 employees cannot be the same way you handle 100 employees. In as much as we are saying you have to be accessible, you cannot sit down and maybe let 100 people cannot trip into your office in a day because you are HR manager or you are an HR personnel there. So it means that maybe your team has to be enlarged to accommodate each person. Okay, like maybe in the hospital we talk about there is this ratio of one doctor to maybe approximately 20 patients. Okay, so it's when you have that in mind, it tells you how many doctors you need to employ into your hospital to make sure that the patients that come, they have quality service that is rendered to them. Okay, so if you are a bank living in a rural community, or a bank that is in the rural community can have maybe 2 tellers, and that works for them. But when you are in the center of a city, you cannot not have 2 tellers. It means that you have clients that will be seated in your hall for a very long time without being attended to, because there are only 2 tellers that attend to them. So maybe in a city, you may want to have 5 to 6 tellers, so that the queue, you don't have a long queue that weighs on them. Okay, and they do not also feel the pressure as tellers to work to serve the people, and they will end up making all the mistakes. So it has to be individual focused. Okay, and personal relationship with these people are key, because people come, and this, like I said, what happens to them outside also has the potential to affect what happens inside. And so you want to make sure that you are accessible to them. They are able, when they are facing challenges that doesn't have to do directly with the work they are doing, they see in you a friend, somebody that they can, a mentor, or somebody that they know that they can rely on to help them. Or if you notice that an employee is no more performing like they used to when you call them into the office, you have to make sure that they are open to you. And the only way they can open up to you is when you have a relationship to them. So maybe you want to reach out to them. Hey, how are you during the weekend? How are you spending the weekend? And they know that there's somebody that is thinking of us even when we are not here. And so when something happens, they know that this person can listen to us. Okay. You also want to look at the continuous function. The HR management characteristic is self-explanatory. How often does it feel like the office is falling apart when the HR management takes a sick day? HR management is a flow, it's a constant flow of information and action. Inaction in the HR management aspect could be disastrous, and therefore a vital characteristic is constantly being aware of how employees are doing and how effectively they are doing it, and how they feel about performing their job. Okay, so your contact with them cannot be seasonal. It has to be very frequent. Okay, so maybe you can have a system where maybe you have an assembly every morning, or maybe you may want to have a devotion every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday before everybody starts work. Or maybe at the end of every month, you want to have a get together or something. Okay, and it has to be constantly keeping in check. That is just one aspect of it. Now, reaching out to the people, evaluating them, going to them and asking them if they have anything or anything. It's not like it has to be maybe at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, but people need to be reached out to in the company in and out. People need to also know that their work is being checked. Okay, so and their needs at the department are being met. So it's a day-to-day affair. Okay, and it has to be future oriented. We all want to be something in the future, like our companies, our mission, our organization. We all have a vision, and usually our visions are not like in a year or two. They are 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, things that we have planned for maybe the next 30 years or for the rest of our life. It means that it's future focused. So it has to be future oriented. Okay, you have to see beyond. That is why you need proactive members in your HR department, and you also need to recruit proactive people who are able to foresee. Okay, and then that taste of vision. Okay, so that they can see ahead and know. There are people who started with companies that didn't look like they were going to stand the test of time, but because they are able to see the vision ahead, they stayed, work it out, and today it's a big deal. I would say that, for example, when we started working with Earth Guardians in Africa, we had a lot of challenges. Okay, trying to organize everything in our way, making sure that how do you call it, our vision and our values as Africans, okay, are being met, and the projects we embark on, okay, also are things that are valuable and relevant to our and they are relevant to our communities, okay, as Africans. And so these things have not been easy, but we had a leader who always also knew how to position each and every one of us to encourage us to stay at it. And so you have to look into the future when you are making the decision you are making today. Okay, so when you say you are employing 100 people in the next 5, 10 years to come, would maybe if you are producing something, the service you are rendering, you are a manufacturing company, would what you manufacture, okay, and all the things that will earn, you will be able to sustain, or you're paying those people over the next 10 years. If the production reduces, how are you going to make sure that the employees there are paid well?